Well, here we are. I'm Tom Osman, and this is Whatever Comes Next, the podcast where I explore the world of underground and independent music making. And on today's episode, I am talking with gothic rock group Requiem in White. Requiem in White, you say? But surely they split up over 30 years ago. Yes, they did. But they got back together just to talk to me. No, obviously I'm joking. But they did get back together to record their first album in over 30 years, The Visible Heaven. And I think it's a great record. And I wanted to find out how they made it. And I did. So for anyone who is familiar with the band, you will be aware that back in the day, when they were active in the 80s and early 90s, they did almost no interviews. And I wasn't sure what to expect when talking to them. So the band as it is in its current form is Doc Hammer and Lisa Stockton-Wilson. And if you're familiar with the band, you'll probably also be aware of the fact that the two used to be a couple, and they haven't been a couple for a very long time. And so before the interview started, I was thinking to myself, oh, there are these different topics I want to talk about, and I'm not sure how I'm going to broach them, and do I have to be sensitive about certain things? We logged on to the call, and instantly the two of them are just bantering back and forth. And there were several minutes of them bantering back and forth before I even had the opportunity to get a word in edgeways. So it was clear from the very beginning that the rapport between the two of them is very strong. And it was a lot of fun chatting with them. And I think you'll see very quickly the enduring friendship between the two of them. And yeah, it was a very fun chat. And we go way deep into the creation of the record, talking about the band's history. And I even get the opportunity to get their thoughts on Typo Negative, who they did play with back in the day. And beyond that, I don't think I should rabbit on anymore. I will let you hear things from the two themselves. The Visible Heaven, the band's latest album, is going to be out on the 21st of May on The Circle Music. I will put all the various links in the description. I believe, unfortunately, for the time being at least, there won't be any live shows from the band, but who knows what things can happen in the future. But at least there is the record, there is the music. I will play a little clip from one of the tracks in a moment. And yeah, you can follow me at Tom Osman Sounds. You can go to my website, tomosmansounds.com, for my own music. You can find me on Ampwall. You can find me on Bandcamp. And that's probably about it. So with all of that said, Doc Hammer and Lisa Stockton-Wilson, who are Requiem in White, take it away.
Exactly.
So I'm not going to get in the way of this. Yes, I am Tom. Pleased to meet you.
Well, we were a couple nearly 1,000 years ago, and she's been remarried longer by far than we were a couple. So people always think like we're a couple. I'm like, yeah, when we were kids, we were a couple.
Yeah, we
so
were
now
teenagers.
so now we're just old friends.
Yeah.
And Lisa and I have nothing but a loving but slightly ribbing relationship.
Oh yeah, no,
Always
it's fun.
Always have.
Dude, that mix you made for my song, I started
You
crying.
love it?
I started crying.
Oh yeah, that's not a mix, man. I re-recorded every instrument. I had to.
I know.
But the song was really good. I heard it. I'm like,
It's a good
I
song.
love it. It's good. I love this thing, but it's recorded for shit. So I had to just re-record everything. But it was like there. It's just good. It's good. I kept all the viola and all your vocals, obviously.
Okay, good. Well,
but everything.
Yeah. So Tom, here's the backstory.
Yes.
By around 2012, I moved back from LA to close a movie deal. No, that was 2008. And then, of course, the big crash happened. So those people fled with their money and I was stuck in New York. So I was back. So I started hanging out at my parents' house in Connecticut. And my best friend from high school, Steve and Deal, who was in a band called Chopper, and Bleach Black. They were pretty famous, really fucking good, but really like pop and in mod. And I was goth, so we never collaborated. And then one night he's hanging out and he said, "Why don't we collaborate?" So we made a band called Radiana, and it's like his like pop, sensible like indie pop, and then my like medieval crazy vocals and like real story like fairy tale lyrics and stuff. But he died, and then my mom died, so then I stopped singing. I stopped doing music, and I had all these songs for we started recording our second record, and then I had to like write. He wrote two. I had to write all the rest of the songs myself, and they were just sitting on my computer because I was like, I can't do this. And Doc like graciously was like, "Let me take a listen. I'll see what I can do." And he fucking what he did with the re-recording is so luscious and gorgeous. It's like what I wanted was like a shoegaze.
Yeah, I know what you wanted, and I know what I want, and I know what Steve was capable of, and like it was a natural. I heard it all there. It was just very demo-y, so it just needed to be professionally
Yeah, I mean,
recorded.
I played every instrument on that. I write on the bass, but I'm not a bass player, so it was really
Yeah, I
weird.
can tell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. Thanks, really, you think?
No, but it's like it really was, it was hidden under the incompetence was brilliance, and all I needed to do was ignore the incompetence, but it was really
That's it.
very inspiring. Let's
Oh,
start.
good.
Tom,
Okay.
who are you? Tell us about yourself, and then we can begin this.
I love. Oh, we have already begun. I love this. You've
You are
already.
joking. I haven't even put on my. I haven't even put on my clown suit that I had prepared
Dude,
for this.
you got to put on your lipstick.
I have to put on my lipstick and a little bit of eyeliner. Yeah.
You've already answered about 3 or 4 questions that I thought I was going to have to sensitively tiptoe through before I've even asked them. So it's like
Oh, good.
No tiptoeing needed.
you're doing a fantastic
Please.
job. Well, but
Please don't tiptoe.
before I get into anything else, I do have an incidental question. Doc, where did the Doc name come from? Because that's not the name you were born with, correct?
No, it was a long time ago. There are many stories, and I don't know, remember which one is true. This is the one I think is true, and you will be so saddened by it. But I was sitting around the Astor base. This was during like Venture Brothers, barely season one. I did a TV show called The Venture Brothers on Adult Swim. So Jackson, who was my partner for the Venture Brothers, we were just goofing around how we don't know people with cool nicknames. Like I want to know a Smitty. I want to know a guy named Golf for no reason. So I was like, you know what I'll do? I'll take the hit on this. And people can just call me Doc because it's a cool fucking nickname. And it fits because my surname is Hammer by birth, which is a cool fucking name. So it was a goof for a while, and then it became real when I started using it as my nom de plume. And then I met so many people through the Venture Brothers, and I was Doc through the Venture Brothers, that nobody uses Eric anymore. Like literally nobody. I think my mom does, but she calls me something far worse, which I will not tell you.
I remember.
But do you remember? Oh, it was awful.
Oh.
So yeah.
See,
terrible.
I don't understand why you get so embarrassed by stuff. You have this like underlying like shame machine.
I don't, but you gotta remember, Lisa, this is my mom. And what
Well, yeah,
people
she is
do
mommy dearest.
yeah, and if yeah, she's a bit of mommy dearest. And when people hear what my mom called me, they'll start calling me it as a joke, and it's very
Oh.
fucking triggering. It's really
Okay.
triggering. So I don't
Yeah.
like when people do it. And a lot of people have this natural predilection to use my Christian name, Eric, just to act like they're closer to me, but they don't realize my friends call me Doc. So when I hear Eric, I'm like, did you know me when I was in high school? Like, why would you use that
Yeah, I
name?
have to get used to that because I knew you as Eric. So
Well, between you and I, you can call me Eric. Just don't call me late for dinner. That's my dad's
I
joke.
didn't say that.
Yeah. Good
Just
night,
don't call me
everybody.
asshole.
Yeah, just call me asshole. People can call me asshole.
Just
It
on
doesn't-
the topic of Hammer being a very cool name, which it is, I need to give a shout out to a friend of mine and his kids. So my friend's last name is Crow, and he married a woman whose last name is Wolf, and they named their child.
Oh my God.
They named their
Their
child.
hyphenated name is is Wolf Crow.
Yeah,
Or Crow Wolf.
they named their child Thor, so the
I knew I was
child's
going to
name
say
is
Thor.
Thor Wolf Crow.
That's
Oh
amazing.
my! And everybody thinks it's crap, but it's real.
That kid is
Yeah,
blessed. That kid is blessed.
It's got to get into metal.
I
Absolutely.
have. Let me tell you this. I haven't turned down my volume because I'm peaking because I'm so animated with my speech. I always feel that you should name your kid the most simple, common name ever, because it's hard to live up to. For instance, Thor Wolfcrow.
Yeah.
And like, like what's my best example is Peter Murphy, which is what a great goth name. Nope, it's the dumbest name. Peter Murphy. It's like the most lame
Just
name
an
ever.
Irish
But
name.
yeah, but he made it
Yeah.
cool. You just use your name and make it cool. Unless you have a nickname like Doc, then use that. Because there's not a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
Docs. The
My
kid from The
husband.
Shining was Doc.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Doc in The Shining. My husband went
Yeah,
to high school with a kid whose parents gave them the middle name Bozo.
nice. Nice.
Well,
That's not true. I gotta
It's
talk to Levi
true.
about
I
that.
can
That's
tell you it's
great.
true. They're from Kentucky.
well,
Bozo.
I used to be Aussie because not very originally because I'm from Australia and also my last name is Osman.
Oh,
And
that's
Oh,
then
great.
and then I became Oz, and then there was one particular friend who got into calling me Zzz, and I thought that was taking it too far.
yeah. No, you've too diminutive.
I love it.
So
All
I
right. So
shouldn't
wait, Tom, I'm gonna ask you about you. Who are you,
please.
Tom?
Who am
Yeah,
I?
who are you?
Oh yeah, tell us.
You got a podcast?
That's a
Sell
complicated
yourself to me.
that's a complicated existential question. Okay, I do have a
And why do you
podcast.
care about Requiem in White? What are you doing here?
Oh, what am I doing here? Oof. I mean, once again, you're hitting me with several different things to try and encapsulate all together. Okay, the reason why I'm interviewing you, I do have a podcast, which I kind of started incidentally just over 2 years ago. And I basically started it because I want to write a book about underground independent DIY music and how people make it and survive or don't survive and have other avenues of making a living. So I kind of started the podcast as a means towards talking with various different people and investigating music and underground music from their perspectives. And then it's just kind of gone from there. And the reason why I'm interviewing you is because Dom at Three Nation put The Visible Heaven in front of me, and I listened to it and I thought it sounds amazing. And I really, I wasn't going to allow much more time to go by before I said that it is a great epic in both senses of being very good, but also the scope of the record, sounding record. So and
Just the timbre of that album, like the way it sounds,
yep,
I greased that with my own blood. Like that was,
It's all Doc.
yeah, our or the last thing we put out was demos from 30 years ago.
yep,
And they just didn't hit like this. The band in my head and
yeah,
live hits. It hits really hard and it has a specific sound that is not based on anything else. You know what I mean?
yep.
And that is a very tough paradigm to be inside of. It's a fly or die kind of thing. Like think of My Bloody Valentine, how much Kevin wanted this specific sound, but that sound was so outside of the mainstream and a very bitter pill. And people accepted it. They accepted it to the point where they created a genre around it. Sisters of Mercy, same thing. It's a specific sound that people go, well, this is a genre. It's not a sound. Let's have a band that sounds like that. It's a weird thing to do. And Requiem is in that league. I'm not saying we're as good as these bands, but we have a sound that is not based on predecessors in the genre or anything contemporary in the genre. So to make that sound happen is a real horrible act of faith. But with modern technology, i.e., home studios,
Yep.
if you have the time and the inclination and you've put in the hours, you can do literally anything, you know?
Well, so from that point of view, one of the things I was interested to hear from you both is going from where Requiem in White first split up, and I know the two of you carried on making music together as Mors Syphilitica, but I think I saw in the press release a comment from you, Doc, saying that you weren't trying to create something that was coming decades later, you wanted it to be a natural continuation of where the band was before, but at the same time that you hadn't been totally satisfied with the sound that you'd captured on record. So how did you go about figuring out and then achieving the sound that you wanted to have while still making it kind of a continuation from where you saw the band being when you first split up?
That is a super duper question. I had to create a kind of false reality where I had to throw out a lot of what my and Lisa's contemporary influences were. And, you know, since Requiem, Lisa and I, just as friends, went through so many genres of music. Lisa went into like really heavy medieval music. We both were listening to Steele, Iceman. There was so much stuff coming in. All of Brit pop rocked my life. I mean, I was a
Yeah.
monster Suede fan. Still am. Their
Yeah, me
last
too.
album was amazing.
I love
I
Suede.
love Britpop. Love it.
Yeah, they haven't got bad. So, but I remember what Requiem wanted, and I never really changed that. I mean, if I could say anything to every 14-year-old kid listening, one would be go to bed. It's probably really late. And two would be watch out because everything that comes into your head from 14 to 18 years old is the systemic core of your passions.
Mhm.
And when kids, you know, if you're playing just video games and stuff, when you get older, that is your aesthetic foundation, and it's a weak foundation. Luckily, when Lisa and I were young, we discovered alternative musics, and it created a very strong foundation of um, freedom to understand music. We didn't like pop music, you know, some of it's fine, but
Not the
what we did
commercial
is we,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, what we did is we just loaded our head with the weirdest stuff that like you could dream upon. And I personally didn't really like anything in its totality. I like these like parts, you know, like you'll hear the beginning of um Don't Let 'Em Go by REO Speedwagon, and just the first 10 seconds blow your mind, and then it's crap, you know? But like that first 10 seconds changed my life. It's a tiny little
Mhm.
drum intro, which is just a rip off of Don't of Not Fade Away. That do that's all it
Um,
was. But that kind of drumming is massive. So, okay, more to your question. Besides that foundation that Lisa and I created as kids is still in me. So when I worked on this record, I literally picked up my old guitar and put myself back into that place. And then I just started writing from where I used to write, which isn't really that hard. I remember what I liked and what I could do and the aesthetics. But the real trouble was, how am I going to record it? So I came up with a scenario in my head, which was, okay, Requiem, people care suddenly about a band that nobody cared about. And they give us a lot of money, and we go to Sound City and we have Butch Vig do our record. Because that was about the time when we split up. That would have been the biggest thing we could do. So I just took on this kind of Butch Vig persona of, you know, where when something was just a little too much, I would kind of give it the vig. And if it wasn't enough, I'd give it the vig. I just created a second person inside of me who was a producer, and then another person who was a writer, and then a performer. Like I split the roles up. And music is really you write, then you record, then you mix, all these kind of things, and production goes to all throughout that. So what I did is I divided myself, but made sure I didn't do things that have come into my head from the contemporary. You know what I mean? The drums are handled much differently now. Guitars are handled much differently or ignored now. Vocals are handled differently. So I really tried to do the best sound I could get from 1994 using very contemporary equipment, obviously, but not my amp and stuff. My amp is old, you know. So that's what I did. I created a false reality of we have the money now to get that sound out, and then I just pretended I was these people.
you got the million
It's hard.
dollar ear.
Yeah, yeah. So and I really was like trying for that kind of somebody who likes alternative pop music trying to go, all right, guys, tame it down a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I imagine that's got to be difficult in a way to like to sort of censor yourself, but also at the same time try and be free to a certain extent.
yeah, well, this is why it's hard to be an artist and why not everybody is geared for it. I mean, when you make, there are some things that are very difficult to do in the contemporary idiom of music. And one, you have to remind yourself why you make music. Because when I was growing up, people had this idea that you could make it and you would get signed and people would give a shit and you'd go on tour and your life would be changed. That doesn't exist anymore. But it's not bad. We lost the machine that gave us 1% of all the music being made. You know, we lost that machine. I don't give a shit. So what we do have is much more democratic. It's problematic in that there's a lot of garbage, but you can't stop that. Only history can remove garbage. You know what I mean? When you're in something, there is always garbage. History has a siphoning process that makes you only remember from high mediocrity to excellence. Everything else is just thrown out. So when we were young, we had a much different thing happening. We had this belief that we could be saved, but we never were. And I came from the hardcore scene, which is DIY. You don't worry about why you're doing it. You do it. And
Yeah.
that's how this record was made. It's almost how everything we've ever done is made, is that you just do it. And people ask, why do you do it? And you go, because it needs to be done and because I care. And I care deeply and I needed to do it. It's between me and God. You know what I mean? There's no sense of caring about anything. It's between me and my idea of excellence. That is how I'm working. And I work, long, hard hours doing it simply because if I'm going to do it, it should be done beautifully. And if 10 people hear something that I think is magnificent, then that's 10. 10's pretty good.
That's
And
better than one.
getting that attitude is what you need. It is a survival thing. I speak to artists constantly, and their big thing is nobody cares about what I do. And I'm like, well, that's you do. That's
Yeah.
that's that's all that fucking matters. And you do it. And if you need accolades to do it, stop fucking doing it. It
Mm.
is
Do
done
it.
entirely for excellence.
Yeah. No,
And
that does, yeah,
go ahead.
that does make a lot of sense. And so now I'm curious to know from Lisa's point of view, when did you become aware that Doc was working on this material, and what was your experience like first hearing what he
Oh,
sent you?
okay. So I was with Maria from the Circle Music previously. She contacted me to really re-release my solo medieval raga thing, Dakini. And then she said, "Oh, can I start doing Requiem in White and Mors Syphilitica next?" I said, "Okay." So I tried to contact Doc, but he's notoriously hard to get. So I just started collecting our old demos and the records and everything and handing it over to the label. And like he said, he heard it and he was like, "Oh my God, we could do so much better now." So I think it was like right as we were releasing that, he's like, "I have new songs." And I was like, "You have what? Excuse me?" "Yeah, I have new songs. I'm going to send them to you." He sends me the track, the the vocal track, the way it should be sung, like on a keyboard, sheet music. This music was so goddamn hard. And I've studied opera. I've studied Indian raga. I've studied very complicated Baroque music. I've studied medieval music. I couldn't get a handle on this. It's so complicated and so hard. So I was just cursing his name the whole time. But
You loved it.
it was
You loved every
the
second of
hardest
it.
thing I've had to sing in years, and I hadn't used sheet music in a while. I hadn't sung in a while. I had been sick, and my voice was healing. So I was like, I can't do this. Turns out, I guess I could. I sent it to him. I said, "This is scratchy. It's not very good." He loved it. So I
It was
was
not scratchy. It
I
was
was
not
surprised.
scratchy
I
at
was
all.
so
It sounded amazing. Scratchy.
I was cursing you the whole time. It was so difficult.
So did you record your parts totally separately and then sent them over?
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
in the Bronx and he's somewhere else. I don't even know what. Oh, you're like upstate or something?
I am in a mystery location divulged by no one.
Okay. So
Okay.
Yeah, he would send me the tracks and then I would sing into my studio, my little crappy fucked up garage band. Because I'm not an engineer at all.
Yeah.
And send him the stems and you know, hope for the best.
Yeah, but that's actually it ties into one of the topics. It's ended up sort of becoming a recurring topic that I bring up with artists when I am talking about different aspects of making music on a sort of an independent or a DIY level is what you can potentially get out of not recording as a band in a studio, or the pros and cons between doing more of a home recording style versus that. And to me, when I listen to the record, I wouldn't say, oh, this sounds like something that was recorded at home with one person playing all the
No,
instruments and another
it
person singing. It
doesn't.
sounds like a full band, and it's big, and the different
Yeah,
instruments, like the bass stands out, the guitars, the
yeah.
drums, it all supports the vocals together. Like True Lovers and Whores, for example, is one of the tracks I really like the most. Like the way that that all fits together, it has this kind of drive to it that sounds like a band playing together. So I think just the fact that you managed to get it to sound like a band playing together is in itself impressive.
It's like Tom from Boston doing everything
Yeah,
this.
they're Thomas Schultz, who recorded the
Tom
entire
Schultz.
Boston album himself. There
It's
are
that
people.
impressive.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying that I'm different than people, but I think I am. There are people that can do this. That
You're that
when I
level,
drum,
man. You are that level. You're Tom Schultz
well,
level.
it's my thought process. When I drum, I
Yeah.
don't. I'm a drummer. I don't
You're
care about
drumming
the
live?
guitar.
Wait, you're drumming
Yeah,
live? You're drumming. You're
I'm
not
drumming
using a
live.
drum machine?
I'm drumming
Holy
live.
crap. When did you
I'm
learn that?
doing. I record. Well, for a million years, I couldn't get a drummer. And I would use a drum machine. I hated the sound, so I started
Yeah.
like learning how to play rudimentary. That was 25 years ago. So
Dude,
I've been playing drums longer than drummers at this point because I am
Jesus.
old. Yeah. So when I drum and when I write drum parts, I think only about the drums, and I'm a very specific type of drummer. And when I write the bass part, I think only about the bass. I'm a very specific bass player. And when I write guitar, I don't think about anything but how cool my guitar sounds. And because I am a band, because a lot of people, they're guitar players and they write the rest of the music, the bass plays the tonic, the drums play the beat. They're not drummers and bass players, they're guitar players with the facility to create versions of these other instruments.
You're
But
like
I
a
really
classical
am,
composers. You're like a classical composer.
well, I
This
don't
this
know.
this, this is
I,
some serious classical shit.
I just think I have a good compartmental brain, and I really love drums. Like when you talk to a drummer, they're very specific about what they like, and they have these real weird quirks. I have them, and as a bass player, I think the
You
guitar
mope.
is noisy and stuff like that, and I just
You
like the
sit in a
bass, and
corner
I
and mope.
mope, and I tell people that I have an ailment that I don't actually have. That's what I do when I'm a bass
On a
player.
incidental point, am I right that when the two of you were first together in Requiem in White that you didn't really do any interviews?
Nope.
We didn't. We didn't. Let's be honest, how many people want to interview us? But as a band, we did one once and then we read it and it was the most confusing mess in the world. And
Were we like
Lisa was like,
18 years old? We were like
Lisa
18.
was like, yeah, Lisa was like, why don't you just do the interviews? And that wasn't going to fly. But we had too many voices.
Yeah.
And because we had a lack of cohesion, we just said, you know what? Fuck it. Who cares? And it's always better to just make the thing and have people listen to the thing and make up their own story. I mean,
Yeah.
music should speak for itself, and the mystery of not knowing where it came from, I always thought was so much more beautiful than hearing nonsense about it, you know?
I agree.
Do you understand that? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, there was also I want to get the album right. Is it the Merciful Fate album, Don't Break the Oath, I think is the one
Oh,
where
I love that
just
album. Yeah.
and on the back of it you've just got like the silhouettes of the band. And I guess that's kind of that sort of level of mystery is something that's very difficult to capture these days when so much is shared in real
It's
time.
true.
Yeah,
It's true.
definitely.
Yeah, we didn't, maybe I'm superstitious or I don't think enough of myself, but other bands, they talk about their recording process, or like albums about to drop, here's or whatever. I don't care. I always feel like I have 5 seconds of everybody's time. So if I go, hey, I'm working on a new record, that's my 5 seconds. Nobody cares. I use my 5 seconds to go record here it is. Like if I'm going to say that something's happening, I then present it to him because the idea of build up and talking about something is
Uh,
just it's just not tenable. So yeah, we said nothing to anybody about the fact that we were doing this with the exception of Circle Music. That was it. We didn't
Yeah.
talk about it because I don't think people have the attention, and I'm not demeaning people. I don't know if I have the attention to be part of this like build up process. It's fine
yeah.
if you're releasing a superhero movie, but honestly, when it comes to music, it's better to go, here's my thing, take it. Instead of going, "Hey, you get all excited about my stupid thing before it happens, and then by the time it comes out, I've lost everybody." I have. Do
I
you
can see
understand
the
that?
I can see the rationale there. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to pull you way back to when you formed the band originally. So 1985 in Boston, is that right?
Was it before? It was like 84 in like before we
Well,
went to
we
college.
started. It was a high school band. Chris, I think, was older. He might have started
He was
college at
older. He was
that
already at
point.
BU. He was at BU
Yeah,
and you and I are in the same grade.
we were in high school, and we had met at a music festival, and then I think it was Lisa's like, "Oh, you should meet my boyfriend." She was dating Chris at the
I was
time.
dating him
Yeah, and
first.
and so I met Chris at the LNG Club in New London, and we just looked like a band. So
Yeah.
back then, they weren't called goths, and there was about eight of them in all of Connecticut, and we were three of those eight.
Yeah.
So I think we became a band because it's hard to find like minds. It was a kismet kind of thing. And we started in a garage, I think owned by our very, very first drummer, the
Joe
Fallout drummer.
Slaby. Joe Slaby.
Yeah, Joe. And just wanted to see if our sounds meshed.
Yeah.
And Chris had a very specific bass sound, and Lisa clearly has a very specific vocal sound. And due to my high aesthetics, low incompetence, I had a guitar sound. Like I was not a great guitar player, but I knew what guitar was supposed to sound like. So I had a
Had
nice
that Rick
open
Agnew
sound.
sound. Yeah, you had the
Yeah, it
Rick
was like a
Agnew.
really open. There was like a chameleon's delay kind of thing, but it was really just, you know, I wasn't good enough to be what I wanted to be. I was good enough to be what I am. It's like the Edge. Like he's great at the Edge. He can't really play for anything else, but he's good at what he does. And that was kind of what I had developed because I wasn't a fast-fingered guy. Yeah, and that was the beginning where we started. Then we all went to school in Boston and formed the Requiem in White Tabernacle Orchestra with two guitar
We had like
players.
75 people in the
Yeah,
band.
like 75 people in the band, and then we just
Chris brought some
kept.
people. We brought some people.
It was a
It was too
mess. Yeah,
much.
And did you
sounded like
play
not.
did you play some shows together with that
Oh
full
yeah.
configuration?
Oh, it was
Yeah, it was terrible.
ridiculous.
It
It
was
was
so bad.
ridiculous.
And we got
And
so much
everybody
battery
kind
notes.
of fell away except for the core three, which is what it should always have been. And
Doc,
we went,
do you remember the rehearsal space, the music factory? Didn't the Pixies practice down the hall? Like all the Boston bands were there.
well, at the Music Factory, we had, okay, across from us were the Prime Movers, and there was a band called Red Rockers. Remember Red Rockers? They did the song China? China,
They were there.
China. They're absolutely there. Uh, Gang Green was there.
And Green,
Yeah.
the hardcore band, Slapshot.
Yeah. Slapshot. I think
Swear
Pixies
to
were there
God.
for a tiny bit.
Yeah, they were
And
there.
and and maybe Salem 22 or whatever they were
Salem
called.
666.
Yeah, or no, not 666. I think it was Salem 22.
Oh, another one?
Regardless, no,
Another Salem
a
band.
lot of people use the name Salem, but it was
Yeah,
yeah, a lot of
it was
Boston
cool.
bands in the same building at different times. But yes,
And you, a few years later, you then moved on to New York, is that right? Why did you
because
decide to move?
Because
well, we
Boston
all had
sucked.
our different reasons.
Yeah,
I think Chris thought he could make it here. Chris, our bass player at the time,
yeah,
and really the real Requiem in White bass player, though we had no other, had this idea that like our music was commercial. And I get it. We were really good. We were really
really
special, but
good. Yeah,
there was never a chance of us being a commercial band. We
no,
just
But
our
we were
timing.
you and I were always visiting New York. We were New York people. We went to
Yeah,
Boston just because he went there. I wanted to go to
that's correct.
NY. My plan was always to be in New York. I had an uncle that was like a producer on Broadway and just like New York was the place.
Right.
So we were destined to be here.
Sure. I was just along for the ride. I didn't get whatever. You guys want to go to New York? I like New York. It's
Okay.
fine. Yeah, I don't care.
So I think you said that when you started out, you didn't really perceive there to be like a goth scene as such, or at least where you were. But once
Well, I
you
mean,
were,
look, there was never really a goth scene. I mean, there was this like moment in London with the Bat Cave,
yeah,
but that was just a moment. Scenes are an overrated thing that we look at from the past. I can look at
mm,
pictures and see a scene there, but we
yep,
we didn't have meetings. We didn't there. You don't register a scene when it's happening. And
yep,
they're usually these deeply fragmented things.
yeah.
You might go to a show and see some faces, and if you recognize faces, maybe that's a scene. I don't know. But we
Yeah, I
certainly
remember.
weren't.
Yeah, I remember
Go
that too.
ahead.
Boston was cool because there was literally no genres. They would mix all of us together.
Yeah.
We played with like the Sisters, fucking Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. One of them was my classmate. I
Yeah,
mean,
we
they would
played
throw us all
with
together.
bands that we had no business playing with, and it was
Yeah,
awesome.
it
They
was
just looked
awesome.
at they looked at all music as college rock. You know what I mean? It's a genre
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
that you don't
yeah,
hear
yeah,
hear
yeah, yeah,
much
Yeah.
anymore.
yeah,
But like Boston kind of invented it with Mission of Burma, like
Mm.
that sound that became what we know as alternative music was invented in Boston.
I agree.
So, yeah, so we would play with bands like the Zulus, which were ex-Human Sexual Response and stuff like that, that really didn't blend with us, but they did. You know what I mean? They wouldn't recognize when they tried to do Gothic, they would always include it with the weirdest stuff. Remember Sleep Chamber?
Yeah,
We'd always play with Sleep Chamber, and they were like using tape loops and stuff, and
yeah,
we didn't. Gothic as a genre is more of a mood than it is a sound.
yeah.
At least the way I see it. And we had the mood, but our sound was very much rock driven. It was a real heavy sound that bordered on
Like metal almost.
metal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
but we never had the metal tropes. We never
Hmm.
Even though I
did.
love metal so much, I always say we sounded like Black Sabbath with an opera singer. That was my dream.
Yeah, but even Black Sabbath has just like they have a sound that we have a much more dramatic sound, and I think a lot of people are afraid to go with that kind of high drama, with the exception of metal. I mean, you got to have like these Celtic Frosts and
Mhm.
Do you
bands
know, it's
like
funny
that.
because I was going to mention Celtic Frost because I was just thinking in terms of sort of rock or metal with opera singing, the Into the
Yeah, Into
Pandemonium,
the
which is my favorite
Pandemonium.
album by them.
I
Yeah,
love it so much. When I heard that,
yeah.
I was like, God damn it, we're doing that.
Yeah, that's how old we are. Yeah, when Into the Pandemonium came out, we were like, "Oh shit, somebody else is trying it." And
Yeah.
when Dead Kid Dance came out, we were both like, "God damn
Like,
it,
God damn it.
God
We're
damn it."
doing this.
Yeah, and
We just don't know the
somebody
right
cared
people.
about those bands, and nobody gave a crap about us. But
Well,
I don't think
yeah, Dead Can Dance had Ivo. They had Ivo
yeah,
in 480. Yeah,
yeah, but they deserved it. They
they
were
did.
amazing. Their
Amazing.
first four albums are some of the best music I've ever heard.
Yeah.
But we had a different thing going, and we could lament that nobody cared and nobody did anything, but it didn't matter. We're still here. We're still making it. I think this new album it did what I wanted it to do. I remember when I started it, and I was really depressed about the recent election, and I felt like I couldn't do anything about it. I felt just defeated. So when I decided I wanted to work on Requiem stuff, I wanted to make the song that Requiem never got to do because we were too fragmented and I didn't feel like getting in arguments with the band. So I did what is on the record as Misa Brevis, and it has these like classical parts, and it feels like it feels liturgical. It doesn't feel like secular music to me. and it has this kind of like grand feel. And I'm like, that could be done with just bass drums and guitar. I know it can be. And Lisa could push it forward to exactly where people would just go, oh my God, I get this. I crave this. This is something I've always wanted to hear. Why don't bands do this? I wanted that feeling of hearing Misa Brevis and going, oh, this should have been done a long time ago. This should have been done in the 70s. Because there is this paradigm, if you don't mind me pontificating for a moment, there is this paradigm that I experience in life, which is someone describes something, I put it into my head, and then I see it and I go, what? What a letdown. So people will be like, oh, you'll love the band Renaissance, or you guys will love the band blank. These like old folky bands that like, oh, they like blend rock and stuff. I'm like, okay, I got it in my head. And then I hear it. I'm like, are you joking? This is what you were selling me? Or I'll talk to another painter and I'm like, what do you like? And they're like, oh, I like Pre-Opulence. I like John Singer Sargent. I like blah, blah, blah. Then I see their work and I'm like, you suck. Like, so in my head, I had this like idea of what all those bands should have been. And
Yeah.
Lisa and I went, well, we don't need to mourn them not doing it. We'll do it.
We'll just
We'll
do
be
it.
what, yeah, we can do it. So that's what I wanted, is this band that mixed this kind of classical music with rock and not doing it like, oh my, I can't even describe. You've heard rock bands try to do classical music and it's mincy
Yeah.
and it just
Ingve
doesn't have this kind of
Malmsteen.
like, yeah, there's like, yeah, exactly. It's very mincy. And I wanted something that had like the power of classical composition, but clearly
Mhm.
played by a rock band. And it's very possible. It's just writing. And that's what we always wanted to achieve. And I think this album achieves it best.
I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. I was blown away when I heard it. I was like, are you kidding? Like, you need to write a whole opera or
No, I
something.
did what I need to do. I don't need
Yeah.
to do anything. I
You do
did
more.
it. I did
It's
it.
just so advanced. It's just it was really beautiful to hear.
It's advanced because also really dumb. And there's a lot of knuckle dragging stuff on that. You know what I mean? Like the opening track of The Visible Heaven is knuckle dragging. Dun 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 dun. It does that in different iterations throughout the entire song.
Mm.
It was so knuckle dragging that I'm like, I think I made a real clunker. And then I remembered this song, When the Walls Came Down by The Call.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is the same knuckle dragging thing. It's the same. They made such a great lick that they had to keep repeating it. Da na 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 na. That goes throughout the song.
It's
Then
an
it goes higher.
earworm.
Da na 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 na. And it fucking hits, man. It just
Yeah.
works. So listening to that song made me feel okay about my knuckle dragger. Like, you know
That's
what?
good.
It
I mean, you
hits.
got to be able to sing along. Ian McCulloch said it. You have to make songs people can sing along to.
Yeah, sure. Nobody's singing along to you, but maybe they will.
Aw. And don't forget, Mussorgsky Pictures at Exhibition was highly ridiculed, and it became the biggest hit of that
Oh,
time.
every great thing was ridiculed. I mean, people joke about Van Gogh dying penniless, but who wanted that crap?
Yeah,
Um, nobody cared about Eric Satie except for Claude Debussy. He's just
nobody
some guy
cared.
who played an upright piano in a
Five
club.
pianos on top of each other.
Yeah, I'm not saying that because people don't like us, we are brilliant, but I am saying it's not that the math is not that clean.
It is
But
one
I
up.
am I am saying that if somebody believes in something very deeply and
Yeah.
truly believes in it,
Mm.
not just like clouded by their own ego, but truly believes like this is beautiful, there is a place for it in the world at some point.
Yep.
Mm,
And
No, I definitely agree. I think authenticity goes a long way, and then you add whatever skills that you've honed and you've figured out how you want to deploy, and that's going to be a lot more effective than if someone has artificial skills that aren't really expressing how they truly feel or the way that they see the world.
you're 100% correct. I have
yep,
no arguments there.
I
That
agree.
authenticity, which is the root of all aesthetics, when somebody, I was trying to define cool one day to a foreign person, and they didn't understand what cool meant. And the only word that I could find that was vaguely similar was authentic. And that's what cool is.
Mm.
It is really someone being themselves, and that is authentic. And having the cojones to actually not kowtow to somebody else's idea of what they should do. It
Mhm.
really is just going out on a limb and going, this is what I am. That is true cool.
Yeah. No,
Um,
that's a good
and,
point.
yeah, and when if you can bridle cool with technique, and you can bridle cool with work, it seems like it's always forgotten. These things take work. There is no AI to help you. There is nothing that is going to help you except your own skill and time. And that
Mhm.
is what it is. If you hate working, those people you meet are like, oh, I have a lot of songs. And it's like a book full of lyrics. And you're like, those aren't songs, those are poems. Making a song is an incredible amount of work. And
Oh,
putting the work in is what it's about. Put the work in.
Yeah. No, very, very good point.
that. Yeah, that's
I,
great. I agree.
I'm not gonna keep you for too much longer, but I want to ask you an incidental
Oh,
question
like I have
because
something else to do today. Help yourself.
I do. I have a film screening tomorrow, and I'm not done with the film yet. I have to like retrofit everything with the
All right.
crop.
I just have
I
a
got
couple more
nothing.
questions for you, but I wanted to
Please.
ask you something incidental because I have been for a very, very long time a huge fan of Typo Negative, and I want to ask you if you have any stories from the day
I
back
do.
when I don't know how many times you played with
I'll give you my
the band.
riff on typo negative because I have an opinion on typo negative. Peter is kind of a brilliant caveman, and I think he was seeing a goth girl, and Peter's whole life revolves around Peter. And I think he thought that it would be better for him sexually to have a goth type band. And in his mind, it was almost like, this is how we're going to make it. God, they really did really well, but that is the worst way to make it. Goth is the worst way to make it. But luckily, they had so much like knuckle dragging meathead metal.
The
I'm not
riff.
trying to be offensive, that it worked.
They have the riffs.
And yeah, and well, just it was, I don't know what
They had a
they
pretty
had. They had
singular they had a pretty singular sound and a pretty singular aesthetic, which was kind of
Yeah.
hard for anyone to
I think it
replicate.
like there are two ways to make your sound. One is to have it in your head and then get it down to tape and accept what comes out. The other one is try to be somebody else and fail miserably, and that's your sound. That you really can't ape somebody else. Like I always said that
Yeah, there's no.
Echo and the Bunnymen were just a bad impression of the Doors, but they are so much, their soul is so much wider than the Doors' soul has ever been, that they created something in their mimicry that is leagues beyond what they were pulling from. And I
Wait.
think what
Um.
Typo was trying to do is take metal and turn it into
Yeah.
like goth, but they made it this kind of lumbering
Dark.
behemoth that yeah,
Yeah.
that just it is a
Like grinding.
chugging thing, and
Do
Peter's
you
voice could not be
remember?
more
Do you remember
perfect.
why we played with them? Because Peter was really obsessed with us with Requiem in White. He loved our
Yeah,
sound,
Peter saw us as like that's the true goth band, and
and
he
he loved the
wanted
way we
to
dress, like the
yeah,
medieval
he
dress.
wanted to align himself with like, because in New York at that time, and in America at that time, there were a lot of goth bands, but Requiem was really the underground darling. Like not a lot of people knew of us, but we really, I don't know, we like the smell of our own shit. I don't know what it was, but we were like the real deal. Probably because we never considered ourselves that goth. We really considered ourselves like
Yeah, we
dark
weren't
rock.
trying too hard, not at all.
Yeah, dark rock was, but didn't it wasn't a real genre. So we're like, sure, we'll be a part of yours. I don't, whatever.
But
And I think
he really liked us. Yeah, he really liked us.
Peter had a very specific set of tastes and aesthetics. Like he was no fraud as much as he was
Mm.
trying to jump into the gothic waters with both feet and not properly dressed for it. He still felt it in his heart. And
Yep.
he was also one of the most polite people I've ever met, to the point where it was
So
nearly
nice.
psychotic. He used to call me sir, and he was really it was very odd how like
Yeah,
overly
he was very
uh,
polite to me. He treated me like a queen. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then he asked me about my clothing, and I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I
Robbie and
made a
Karen,
lot of it.
Accomplice. Yeah, Robbie and
Yeah.
Karen too from Accomplice. They made all my dresses were from Robbie and Karen who ran Accomplice, but then it turned into Archivestry. They did all those beautiful like medieval waterhouse
Oh,
dresses.
all of them. A lot of them were stuff that we bought and styled at the house.
Yeah, that's true. You made me
You'd be
some too. You made me two.
one of them was legitimately a costume you stole from some theater. Like
Oh, I
that
have a whole
that
theater full of
yeah.
costumes
So
upstairs.
we put a lot of stuff together. I've made you things. Like
Yeah.
we pulled our costumes from more than just those two. They made some great dresses though.
But nobody was doing that in New York, doing that medieval look. We started that whole, everybody had the black spiky hair and, all that stuff.
No, in my most egotistical moments, we were the first band to just have long black hair. It just
And I
wasn't
had the
being
long
done
hair.
in the goth scene. I mean, you got to remember that we broke up the day Marilyn Manson started.
Yeah.
And goth had, like Lisa said, a lot of black spiky hair. Like the idea of just having natural long black hair, there was literally nobody, with the exception of metal, which is where
Metal.
Typo Negative and Requiem kind of
Yeah.
found their footing together.
And like live on stage, I had the long red hair and I would always whip it around like I was headbanging. And that was like one of my signature
You
moves.
whipped your hair back and forth.
Yeah. It just like, I gave myself like whiplash.
Yeah. So no, there was like it was a natural blend of Typo Negative and Requiem. It was really the
That was really good.
Typo did what we didn't do,
Mm.
and we did what they didn't do, but it really blended well.
Blended well.
I was always in admiration of what Typo Negative was able to do. Like
And they're
Yeah.
really good. They're really good to play D&D too.
there you go. Yeah, I thought Bloody Kisses was a modern masterpiece. Like
Really
nothing
good.
sounded like Bloody Kisses.
Yeah. I mean, I love kind of all of the albums in different ways. Probably if I was going to pick one for what it's worth, I think World Coming Down has got the biggest place in my heart, but Bloody Kisses is an iconic album as well.
It's just it came out of nowhere, and it really was. I mean, it's the guys from Carnivore
Yeah.
trying to do what they think is romantic. It's a I think when the wrong person does the wrong genre, you make something so weird and so right. You
I
know what I
love
mean?
it. I
It's
love it.
and
Yeah.
back to authenticity. Like that was them. There
Yeah.
was no like
Yeah.
that was
Nobody
the
else.
yeah, nobody else would have done that, could have done that, should have done it.
No,
Because
I
there's
mean it's
plenty
it's
of doom metal out there. Was plenty of doom and death metal, but it was nothing like that sound.
yeah. Yeah, I mean it's like if you were sort of to describe stuff on paper and you said to someone, okay, there's going to be this song and the singer's going to go, "I'll do anything to make you come." You're like, there's
Yeah,
no way that's going to
exactly.
work.
Yeah, his bizarre sense of romance, which was, I mean, if you've ever heard Carnivore, it is devoid of any civil romance. It is the most uncivil thing. It is just it's
Yeah.
carnage, and I don't know. I think it's a brilliant and beautiful thing that they did, and it's very
I
surprising.
agree.
Also, Peter was about 9 feet tall
Yep.
and
Yeah.
uniquely beautiful. He had a beauty that does not happen much. He was
Yeah.
uniquely
Just
beautiful.
got to
Uniquely
stop with that
beautiful.
black hair dye because that gave he died from the cancer from that, and then Jackie
That
O.
is baloney. I think he died of a heart condition based on the fact that he was half
Jackie O, same thing, lymphoma,
that he
and
was
Joey
stop it.
Joey Ramone, black
Okay,
hair
that's
dye
it.
that I'm
Okay.
using.
I mean,
Okay.
certainly that's as far as, whether that's apocryphal or not, it certainly makes for a good legend. Um, in
I deny it. I think he died of a heart condition because he was nearly a giant. He was one of those people that was abnormally
Yeah.
large.
Yeah.
And that was part of his beautiful sound. It was part of his beauty.
Mm,
Like he was born to be that, and a fire that burned bright burns short.
yeah. jumping all the way from back in the 90s then to now. So I don't know how much you are keeping, I don't even know how to sort of phrase this, but how much you keep up with everything that's going on with different music that could perhaps be considered to be within the realms of what your latest record is. But do you sort of look around the musical landscape now and go, these are our peers, or this would be like where this album would fit in amongst what's happening now?
It's
Mm-mm.
if you know a method of doing that, you tell me. But the method that tries to happen is this kind of Spotify algorithm that
Mm,
is
Yeah,
deeply ineffective for that. So
yeah,
it'll address the timbre of the record and show you stuff that, you know, suggest to you, how dare you, stuff that is absolutely not in the realm. So we're all always going back to what I did as a kid, which is I had cool friends who would go, "Oh, have you heard
yeah.
blank?"
that's
You
what I
know,
do. I
have
gotta ask the kids now at the Brooklyn, the Bushwick kids. I gotta ask
yeah,
them.
and really you just have to be tipped off to different bands. And uh, I don't feel like Requiem has peers. We're not, it's not that we're at the height of something that nobody could ever touch us. I don't know the musical landscape, but
Mm,
we're a vacuum band. We
Yeah,
don't really care that much about what's going on. There is no edict to what we're supposed to be making. There's no record label say, we need hits, guys. We need hits. Nobody cares. So we are writing what appeals to us entirely, and we are
yeah.
not
Because I don't
singular
even like
beings.
goth music. I never liked it. I like metal and punk. But
Yeah, I
but
might like goth. I don't know.
everything you write is like fucking mind blowing.
Yeah,
So
there is no genre that you know, you can't just say I like rock and that means you accept Bon Jovi as much as you accept Queen. I mean, you can't.
no.
There is no genre that everything inside of it is great.
mm.
So is some of the music what I listen to goth? Probably. It might be called post-punk. It might be called post-punk. I don't know what the genre is. I'm not sure I care, but I listen to bands that I just dig their sound. I don't know what White Lies is. I guess it's kind of British alt hit makers. I don't know what it is. I think they're great. You know, there's just like I don't know what the genre is. I know what I like when I hear it. And I also have my old favorites. I still listen to John Cale all the time. I can't
Oh yeah,
stop
Yeah.
John
listening
Cale,
to it.
Joy Division. But I'm really into I also really love the whole Brian Jonestown world with Black Rebel Motorcycle Club. And I love the
Hmm.
Black Angel. The Black Angels are
Yeah, they
mixing
were great.
dark music with psychedelia, which is like really up my alley.
Yeah,
It's
every once in a
really
while I'll
good.
hear a band that I've never heard of do something that I love and I pricks up my ear, but I don't have a pipeline
Yeah.
to that genre. And I find that if somebody puts up a blog about here's a goth blog, so to let you in on it, 90% of them listening to them like, do you like this? Like there is, it's almost uncurated that like
Mm.
Yeah,
there is this kind of out of just the graciousness of their heart, they accept literally any band with black clothing and a keyboard into this thing. There was very little curating, and I need my stuff curated. Like
yeah, me too.
when I get recommendations, most of them I'm like, you are joking. And then every once in a while, something will come in. I go, now we're talking. You know?
Exactly. You know what I still do, Doc? I still go to the Princeton Record Exchange and just pick stuff that looks good. And then that's how I found Black Angels. I was like, oh, this looks good. There's a coffin on the front, but it looks kind of
Yeah,
metal.
I'll just go down like rabbit holes of internet looking at stuff and hearing people talk and things like that. But for the most part, the music in my head is far more gratifying than most of what I hear. And as a record collector, I'm trying to um, complete my collection. And a lot of that is just stuff that from my time, stuff that predated me. And then I smatter it with things that just jump into my world and I go, yes. But look, we grow up and listen to our favorite music, and then you could actually go back to that moment and go, what did I miss? Okay, I missed the Pixies. Okay, I
Yeah.
missed the Smiths.
Yeah, I
Like
missed a
you
lot.
literally can work music appreciation in a circle that goes forward a little bit, then backs up. It
Yep.
goes
No,
forward
very,
a
very
little bit, then
true.
backs up. And you
Absolutely.
can just work it as a chain, a loop,
Yeah.
because uh, you miss things, especially in your youth where you're like, I know the answer. I'm the smartest person in the world. And then you miss
Yeah.
all this brilliant music because you had
Yeah.
your head up your ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
I'm
agree.
still going back and finding things that like I had missed that are brilliant.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
Same
yeah,
here.
music is eternal. It's one of the great forms, music and painting, theater, these are eternal things. Shakespeare still hits today. Um, Poulenc still hits today. Fauré still hits today. Debussy still hits today. Bands from the 60s. I listened to Van der Graaf Generator yesterday and it
Mm.
still hits.
Yep.
It's every so you don't have to listen to what's coming out. And people complain like, "Oh, the music isn't good anymore." I'm like, "Come on over to my house. There's always good music.
Yep.
Do you need it from right now? You
Mm.
should check your fucking head, man, because that's a weird way to live your life. Like there are times to put your head out and go, what's going on? And then go back to your palace you made in
Hmm.
your head of like all the beautiful things there and keep letting it in. But to really chase the new sound
Mm.
is an errand for a jackass. Like
Oh yeah.
you're just going to be fucking wrong. I can't remember how many times people have been like, "This is the new sound." I'm like, "Are you still listening to Goose Goose, dude? Are you still listening to that? Did that hit so hard? Is Stereolab still your favorite band?" I somehow doubt it. The High Llamas still listening?
I'm listening. I'm still listening to all that.
Yeah,
I
I
was going to
bet
say
you
like, oh,
are.
Stereo Lab and High Llamas is pretty nice. But all of that being
There you
said,
go.
I did want to ask you. So I don't disagree with you about always having the potential to go back and to discover things that you didn't know at the time when you were having your formative years and going back further. But all of that being said, are you planning to put together a live band to be playing some of these songs to support the release of the record?
I'm not
We are
playing
not we're
because
we're not
yeah,
planning, but we're not discounting.
yeah. Just a disclaimer. I went through a harrowing cancer about 10 years ago, and I physically have not been the same. So for me, it's really hard to get around. I'm not saying no,
Yeah.
but it would definitely require some physical therapy
Hmm.
and lots
Well,
of
yeah,
aspirin.
mayhaps, maybe. I mean, that sound translates very well live. It always
It does.
did. The record uses a lot of obviously studio techniques to get that kind of fullness, but that
Yeah.
can be all be played on one guitar. It's
I think
not.
we could, how about if we do like a review, like some Requiem, some Mors Syphilitica, some new Requiem, maybe a little Radiana. I'll do a little review. Best of.
What? Really? I'll do whatever. I don't care. It's all the fucking same. I mean, we've been doing this for so long. I've put out more albums from Weep than all these bands combined. I mean,
Right.
yeah, I just make music without, I don't give a shit. I can't not make music.
Yeah. It's not off the table. It would be extremely hard work in two different geographical places. We'd have to and I'm like fully immersed in film production.
Yeah.
With my husband as well. Like I make horror movies. I'm in the middle of finishing one right now. We're at the beginning of fundraising for his coming of age immigrant, mixed race kid story. So that takes my whole life up, but I also can't help but want to do music. So I'm not saying no. It just would have to be the right timing and the right
Yeah.
physical,
Yeah.
way of
It's
doing it.
possible. It would be hard to do it for a little clunky gig, but for something important, I think we could rally our
Yeah. Like
our
I wouldn't
our
say
our,
no to
our
one of those
troops.
goth festivals in Europe. But we never played any of those.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, there are the actual problems of like training a drummer to play like I play drums is
Oh,
it's very unnatural for people to play like that, especially contemporarily. I mean, yeah, there are some guys, you know, Danny Carey from Tool could do it, but he's not going to answer my fucking phone call. So, um, there are people that can play like that, but at our level, I don't know. It's a style that a lot of people do not know how to play. It's a
we're
lot of
gonna have to, it would be a lot
swing
of
time,
training, a lot of work.
tom-tom
Yeah.
playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. and the bass parts are hard. We can get, of course, I've said it before, we get William Faith to probably play them for us, and that might work.
Mhm.
But it's difficult. It's not easy. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I sincerely think that just the fact that you have put this album together is in itself a great delight. So I've been enjoying listening to it. And if there is the possibility that you will get together in a live setting, that will be awesome. But just the fact that you've put this album together in itself, I'm very appreciative of.
You know what I'm pleased with is you, Tom, because you did the thing that I'm praying other people will do, which is you just listened to it. You had no idea about what it was, what its past was, or any of the things. Something just came to you and you listened to it and you said, "Oh yeah, like that's a thing. I like this thing.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is," and that's really what I want. I don't care if our genrelists do it. I would hope they would, but anybody, I mean, we made music not just for genres. I think people who have been searching for this sound inside of metal for years can see our take on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There a lot of metal bands have done some pretty spectacular stuff that borders on classical, but this is our take. I think it's a little more brutal. There is this kind of it's hard to describe what we do. It's very sensitive and very sweet, but it has this kind of churn to it. It has this chug of brutality that is very unique. And Lisa's
And
voice
the way you
is
compose my
incredibly
vocals was
unique.
sadistic.
Well, and your vocals, people haven't heard that in rock music. It just they
Yeah.
don't exist. I mean, there are great singers that have done great things, but just Lisa's tone and the way she sings is not it's not used in rock music, and it's we do, and I think it's worth listening to. Yeah, if anybody listens to this podcast and goes, "What the hell are they talking about?" Go listen to the record and just listen to it with open ears and just go, does this sound speak to me? Don't worry about who made it or
Right.
that it's a comeback album. None of that really matters. It's a thing to listen to.
When does it
And
come
if
out?
it's, oh, I don't know. I don't know,
21st of May, I
Lisa.
believe.
Oh, so it's not even out yet.
No,
Exactly.
but I'll
This
be
is all
putting this interview
pre-work.
out like just a week or two before the album comes out.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. And I hope it just listening to us talk about this nonsense, people go and then challenge what I said and just go, Butch Vig my ass, butthead. You're not getting anything close to that sound. I'm like, hey, look, this is what I used. I never said I was perfect, but I think what Lisa and I created is absolutely it's valid. It's valid music. We made it. We believe in it. It's not a joke. It's not a bid for fame. It's not this stupid vehicle for us to be influencers, whatever. There's no ego in it. We made something that we thought was the most powerful, beautiful music that we're capable of making inside the idiom of rock, of just guitars, drums, bass, and great vocals. And anything else was just little soup song. I used an organ because Requiem used to use an organ, but it's very low. It's just this kind of church organ that sound just to kind of keep it together. But judge for yourself, listeners. Don't listen to me anymore.
Well, the proof is in the pudding, and I think it sounds great. So
Thank you.
I have really appreciated getting a chance to talk to you both, and
Nice talking to you.
I really appreciate the music as well. So I hope that it gets a great reception when it
Thank you.
comes out.
It was a super pleasure meeting you. I like where you're coming from. I'm proud to be a part of whatever you're doing.
Me
Thank you.
too.
Got your shit together, Tom.
I really
Compliment
appreciate
to
that.
Tom.
Thank you very much. And on that
Now
note,
I got to listen to your fucking podcast. Now I have to listen to this stupid thing.
you don't have to, but you can if you'd like.
I think I
Well,
might.
now.
I think I might. Yeah.
All right. Thank you both very much. Until next time,
Thank
all the
you.
best.
Be well.
You too.